Celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life with Sterling Fox on AM 650.
Welcome back to the program. Nice to have you with us as we discuss hearing with our guest, Dr. Ted Venema from Next Gen Hearing and Mainland Hearing in the greater Vancouver area. Next Gen is up in the interior and on Vancouver Island. Yep. The other division of the company is Mainland Hearing, and clearly that's all over the lower mainland.
Yep, that's right.
Same company.
Same company, yep.
Okay, so now you're working obviously for both of them,
yep.
and you do these presentations and consultations, and when you go out, and now for example, when you talk to the gas guys, you did that thing
yep.
for Fortis.
Yep.
Now these are fellows who work in occupations and work situations that are noisy. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, their employer is aware of the dangers mm-hmm. posed by excessive noise. Yep. And so these guys, for the most part, are wearing tons of protective yep. gear. When you go to a hearing testing situation, and you're dealing with, say, a person who is an industrial worker, mm-hmm. but who doesn't, maybe an independent contractor, mm-hmm. Dr. Ted, so they don't have the same insistence on safety materials and practices in the mm-hmm. workplace. Those are the people who are likely to be, their hearing would be more compromised than if they were wearing the appropriate safety wear, right?
Yep. Yep.
So how do you tell an independent contractor to smarten up and get with the hearing protection?
I just tell them what you've lost is lost. It went down with the flood. It's not coming back. Mm-hmm. And you don't, as we say, it's the second most common cause of hearing loss, and an ounce of prevention is worth a pound to cure.
Right.
I mean, you're going to have difficulty hearing, not that people are talking. You're going to have trouble hearing what people said.
Okay.
Dishes or fishes. Hat, fat, sat, cat,
mm-hmm.
okay? All the words with a, ba, or I. All the vowels are louder and lower. It's the high-pitched consonants that demarcate, that tell you what. They frame the word. They tell you what it is.
Sure, yeah.
And when with noise-induced hearing loss, you've killed off your treble hearing sensitivity.
Uh-huh.
And in speech, those consonants, like the letters S, F, TH, CH, those will be very difficult to hear. They're soft anyway, okay? That's why your outer ear has the shape it does, because it naturally resonates with those high-pitched sounds.
Interesting.
That's why our ears have that shape.
Okay.
But our ears were not meant to hear steel on steel.
Right.
Okay? And so even the best designs of the outer ear by the great creator or by the great Darwin the evolutionist, whichever, the noise kills off the designs of the ear just like that. It smashes the hair cells to bits.
Now, when you have a hearing test, and now that I've been through the process, I can at least relate to what gets tested.
Uh-huh.
So, and you've done thousands, if not more than that, of testing. You're an audiologist, for crying out loud. So all of these missing consonants and noises that you've just described, mm-hmm. is that identifiable on a hearing test?
What we do on a hearing test is we start testing in the mid-range frequencies or pitches.
Okay.
The lowest pitch that we test is low C on a piano. 125 cycles per second. It's boop, middle C, and then high C, and then 6 or 5 more octaves higher. So music really is more on the low end of our hearing, in the lower pitched end of our hearing range. Mm-hmm. Music isn't exactly up at the sound of S, like the letter S. S, ch, k, music is da-da-da-da-da-da.
Right.
So we test all the different pitches. We test your sensitivity across about 7 or 8 different frequencies or pitches from low to high.
Right.
And you can see the earmark, in quotes, of noise-induced hearing loss. It looks like someone took a bite out of your audiogram right in the high pitches.
Interesting stuff. It's that identifiable.
It's very identifiable, and that's what WorkSafe BC will look at, or any ear, nose, and throat doctor, or any audiologist or hearing instrument practitioner. You can tell noise-induced hearing loss 6 feet away. You look at the audiogram, noise.
Right, okay.
Now, age also causes treble hearing loss, but on a more gentle, gradual increase. Noise is like good for the bass hearing, good hearing for the bass, good hearing for the mids, and then sudden, poor hearing for the treble.
Okay.
Age is kind of good hearing for the bass, poorer hearing for the mids, worse hearing for the treble.
Okay.
So age-related hearing loss tends to have a gentle slope or a hill across the audiogram, whereas noise-induced hearing loss, the hearing loss configuration on paper looks like a precipice.
Oh, it just drops
So
right
they call
off.
it like a precipitous hearing loss is what they call it.
You mentioned ear, nose, and throat
throat.
doctors.
Yes.
So now, when does hearing loss cross that magic line into something surgery can restore?
Well,
because if you lose your hearing, as you said earlier, once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah,
what are the exceptions to that?
Hearing loss due to infections,
Okay.
kids, earaches, middle ear infections, ear wax. You know, anything, the outer ear produces wax. The outer ear can have its own pathology that you can mess around in there. It's the behind the eardrum, the middle ear space is about as big as a sugar cube.
Mm-hmm.
Inside of there are the 3 smallest bones of the body. Infection will screw that up royally. Okay, so that's when a physician can help. So anything that's surgically or medically fixable gets, of course, shunted to a medical doctor.
Okay.
Now, most hearing loss isn't. 95% of hearing loss is inner ear hair cell damage.
Interesting.
Now, your inner ear has the shape of a snail shell. It, too, is about as big as your pinky fingertip. And inside of each inner ear coil, or cochlea it's called, which is the Greek word for snail shell.
Okay.
Inside of each of those, right and left, you've got 15,000 tiny little nerve endings, little hair cells. And when those get damaged, the damage is permanent. I mean, think of it, you can't put a scalpel in there. I mean,
for sure.
Everything's too small.
Sure.
So that area is permanent. And so that's where we are involved in terms of fitting hearing aids.
Absolutely.
His only remedy is significant loved ones who care and hearing aids.
Right. And the only other condition medically that I was going to ask you about, Dr. Ted, was the punctured eardrum, the actual rupturing of the eardrum by some external source or whatever.
Diving or whatever.
And can that be surgically fixed?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So outer ears, middle ears, and some inner ear pathology can be but age, hearing loss due to age, hearing loss due to noise.
Right.
You put those two together, you got already 90% of the population with hearing loss.
Okay.
Okay. That hearing loss is not medically treatable at all.
All right. So now, with the age thing, is just, well, that's an inevitability that all of us boomers are more or less coming to terms with,
yes.
however reluctantly.
Yeah.
But then that's something that just happens. It's an evolutionary thing that happens to every human being.
But we should tie a couple of things together. Elderly people in Africa have better hearing than elderly people in Canada.
I would believe that.
Because they have less industrial noise pollution.
Sure.
So it really, it's noise that we have, it's noise that annoys.
Mm-hmm.
And if we have to really, as a society, monitor noise pollution, it's a drag.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all of it, from cars to traffic to what we've got, what we listen to, our ears were not intended for that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will agree with you. I love a good, loud lick a rock once in a while. I mean, come on. I'm normal.
That's right. And you're a boomer, so you are forgiven for enjoying those pleasures that we've all shared for a generation. Yeah. But it also is, you're also an audiologist.
Yeah.
So if you do, from time to time, lean in that direction, it'll be a good long time before you return, right?
Yeah, you have to do things with care. And
right.
With noise, it's the length of time you're exposed as well as the intensity of the noise. But you were asking about the hearing test. That's the real foundation upon which a hearing aid fitting is done. Hearing aid fittings hinge on the results of the hearing test.
Right.
And a hearing test, for heaven's sakes, it's free.
Yeah, I know.
You know, just
that was my favorite
done.
part of the whole process, as a matter of fact, friends. I got to sit down with Herman Lee, who's an audiologist in Burnaby. He was a really smart, nice guy. He put me through every hoop he could imagine. And I got a diagnosis. I now know what my hearing chart looks like, and I don't have audiogram. That's it. But the best part about it all, it didn't cost me a blinking dime.
And you can find out all kinds of information because the audiologist or hearing instrument practitioner, which is like an optician compared to an optometrist, we're all involved in the same hearing health care.
All right.
And any hearing healthcare professional can describe for you, and will at Mainland or NextGen, I mean, obviously, the results of your test.
Sure.
And what it means, what your hearing levels are, and they'll explain your symptoms as a result of your hearing loss,
Right.
and whether you need hearing aids or not, and they'll guide you down that route.
And
if need be.
suppose you get a result that comes back, and your hearing tester says something to you like, well, you're doing okay. You have predictable boomer hearing loss, but you're okay. We'd like you to come back next year because you're sort of on the borderline in a couple of categories, but so far you're okay. So come on back next year and we'll take another look.
You monitor it.
So you establish the first hearing test is really, it's wonderful because you get to figure out where you are.
It's your baseline.
But that's it. It also establishes now a point of reference.
That's right.
For every test beyond. Well, let's go back to that original, and then you can map hearing patterns or lack thereof. Okay. Now, I wanted to ask you in terms of the hearing aids, because you said the programming of the hearing aid is largely dependent on the findings of the hearing test.
It is.
So you go get your hearing test,
and let's say you need hearing aids.
And so once that's determined, so then do you go back and get a second test now that you know you need hearing aids for the programming purposes, or are you good to go with that first test?
Well, if the test is less than a year old, I mean, if a test is over a year old, I always suggest a retest.
Oh, for sure.
But if the test has been done recently, why have it? You've got the hearing test. And if I see the person, if I do a hearing test, for example, on you, and you had to go at the end of the hearing test, or you wanted to think about it or whatever, and you came back and decided you wanted to pursue hearing aids, well, then I'd go on the results of your hearing test that we did a month ago, let's say.
Okay, and there would be such current information.
Unless you reported to me in further things, but otherwise probably not. There's no reason to suspect your hearing has deteriorated over the course of 4 weeks.
Right, sure.
So then I'd enter the results of your audiogram onto the computer, into the hearing aid fitting software. I'd have the hearing aids connected either by hardwire or Bluetooth to the computer.
Right.
There's an interface that way. And then you open up the software, enter your address, name, phone number, contacts, and then go into the fitting software and enter your details.
Now, you used to work for a Canadian company, a hearing company. What was that company called?
Unitron.
Okay, are they still in business?
Oh, yeah.
So when you're the audiologist now, so you've taken my hearing test, and you know that this guy needs some hearing aids. So how do you determine which brand or manufacturer of hearing aids is going to work best for me? Because I imagine they're all pretty competitive and they're all fairly similar.
You've got about 7 or 8 different hearing aid companies.
Okay.
You've got Oticon, Bernafon, Unitron, Siemens, Resound, Phonak. You got these hearing, Starkey. There's these. You're going to end up, most people in the hearing aid industry who are fitting hearing aids deal with several, usually not all, of those 8 manufacturers.
Okay.
Most deal with about 3 to 4 different ones. And why? Could be a business arrangement you have with them. They might give you better wholesale prices. It might just be because you like them.
Sure.
When you're talking to their customer service and support, you can actually see the person's face. You might know who they are.
Right.
If you can picture the person's face on the other end of the line, you're probably going to have a good rapport.
Definitely.
It's not like one manufacturer is better than another.
That was what I was leaning towards.
That's not true.
They're all competitive.
It's like comparing Toyota to Honda.
Right.
I mean, they're both good cars.
Sure.
Okay, they're fine. Every hearing aid manufacturer makes its gold, its silver, and its bronze models.
Okay.
The most expensive, the average, and the less expensive models.
Right.
And then you have styles of hearing aids. Are you going to be each tier, gold, silver, or bronze, is going to be, you can have behind the ear, all in the ear, completely in canal. So you've got that aspect to consider as well.
Okay.
So you're going to be talking to the person about his or her needs. What is the person, a librarian or a construction worker?
Right.
What does the person have, short hair, long hair? Is the person very concerned about, does the person choose to want an all-in-the-ear hearing aid? And then again, can the person handle that? Manual dexterity.
What about a really active person who likes to play hockey and bash around and has
yeah.
Now, are some people should they just not wear hearing aids? Are there certain activities that are...
Well, I wouldn't be wearing a hearing aid if I was diving.
I guess not.
Because...
And I'm a scuba diver, too. I should know better.
Well, there you go. Hearing aid's going to sound like they're calling from the bottom of the pool. Hearing aids and water don't mix.
Okay. But pretty much any other occupation or activity, if you need hearing aids, then wear them along.
Yeah, you wear hearing aids just like you would be wearing eyeglasses.
Okay.
I mean, do you need them? You wear them.
Right.
The idea is to get to the point where you don't even notice you have them in anymore.
That's right.
It becomes natural. And your audiologist or hearing healthcare practitioner has to walk the walk with you, because it's not just a matter, repeat, not of just buying hearing aids and walking out the door.
Okay, stop it right there, because I need to take a break. And so walk us through that process.
You bet.
And tell us why it isn't just walk in, plunk down your money, and hit the road.
Not at all.
Our guest is audiologist Dr. Ted Venema from Next Gen Hearing and Mainland Hearing, and you can find out more about both of those organizations on the web at nextgen, NEXGEN, hearing.com. And here in Greater Vancouver, it's mainlandhearing.com, and we all know how to spell mainland.
Yeah, quite.
There you go. We're back with Dr. Ted Venema and more on Boomer Life following this very quick timeout.
Canada's only weekly radio show dedicated to the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on AM 650.